Hey there guys, and welcome back to Dino Reviews. Let's talk In the Tall Grass. So In the Tall Grass was actually released in 2019 and it's a supernatural horror drama based on the novella by Stephen King and his son Joe Hill. The movie itself, it pretty much centers on a brother and sister who are traveling the country. Now the sister, she is pregnant at the time and she kind of pulls over because she needs to get sick. What they find is a huge section of tall grass and they hear a little boy's voice from within. Both of them kind of go searching for the boy and before they know it, they too are stuck in the tall grass. I would say guys, I didn't actually read the novella before watching this movie and I do think that probably helped with what I liked about the movie. I have seen quite a few people say they didn't like the film itself just because it didn't live up to the novella. At the same time, the plot in this one, it is quite light. There's not a lot of it there for sure, but they do kind of stretch it out enough to keep me interested. There's a lot of twists and turns in the movie just to kind of keep my attention. As always, we're going to start with my positives, and it's actually the tall grass itself. There is just something quite creepy and terrifying about the grass in this one. It's almost like it's its own character. Time and space kind of stops when you're inside there, and things aren't what they seem. We constantly hear little whispers throughout the grass stops by itself sometimes, and we have different creatures and lunatics inside there. We have a madman at one point, we have these kind of grass creatures that are attacking people. There's a lot going on in this movie. As well as that, the cinematography when we are in the tall grass is done extremely well. We go from light to day, we go from summer sunshine colors to thunderstorms depending on where we are in the plot. The closer we get in the tall grass to kind of center, it does get darker, it gets more creepier, and it definitely gets a lot more suspenseful. The characters themselves as well are all quite mysterious in different ways. Because the tall grass kind of plays with time, we are constantly seeing them at different phases in their experience. I like that about it. It constantly gave you red herrings. You didn't really know who to trust just because different people were at different times when they were meeting each other. Because of this, my favourite character in the overall film didn't actually get introduced until about the halfway mark or just before it. And surprisingly, they have a lot to do with the overall plot. They are quite important to the story, and it was interesting to see that they only got introduced at that halfway mark. The other characters are all quite interesting. We have a family that are also stuck in the tall grass. You know, each of them have gone through again their own experience, and the grass has left them either being absolutely mad or terrified for their lives. Our main two characters, the brother and sister, again, they're not as they seem from the start of the movie to what you get in the end. This movie, as I said, it does have a lot of twists and turns, and that's kind of what kept me intrigued. The overall plot of the movie, as I said, is paper thin, so there wasn't too much they could do with it, but I was surprised how much they got in there. As the movie went on, their personality traits definitely came out a lot more, and you can kind of understand where each character was coming from. As well as that, the kills in this one I absolutely love. There are some really nasty, gnarly deaths in this one. I don't really want to give too much away because I want to keep this as spoiler free as I can. But there is one scene in this movie that I know a lot of people that read the book questioned would it be in the film itself, and they pretty much, from what I know, put it in. Now it is, I'm sure, a lot more subtle, and they kind of took some liberties with it, but at the same time it's very disturbing in this movie and it's very graphic. I was still surprised they got away with it, but it's an interesting scene. It's a terrifying scene for sure, but it's bizarre, and that's kind of what you get a lot of times with Stephen King. There is a lot of Stephen King books where he has certain scenes in there and you always kind of wonder how they would ever put that to film. They do it in this film, and for me, the decisions they made to kind of make it a little bit more subtle worked in its favor. The movie is also quite scary and suspenseful, and I did like that we got more of the jump scares at the start of the movie, and when things kind of kicked into gear, it was all out mayhem in the second half. First half of this movie, you are more relying on what the hell the tall grass is, what is in it, and what is happening. Second half is more of a movie where they're trying to escape it. I did like the first half, that things were a lot more quiet. It did drag slightly, I will say that. It was more of a slow burn movie, but at the same time it gave great opportunities for some really good jump scares. Second half of the movie, it does pick up the pace for sure. We see a lot of characters' true intentions come out, and it's just all out action. The ending of the movie, from what I know, was actually changed quite a bit as well. That again does happen with quite a few Stephen King adaptations. For me, I really like the ending of this movie. Again though, I'm sure if I read the book, I may not have the same feelings. So that's what I will say. Because I went into this one not reading the book, I did enjoy it a lot more. Of course though, at the same time, it definitely has some negatives, so let's look at them. My first negative with the movie is things could have definitely been explained a little bit better. It is a strange movie. There's definitely a mystery there, and by the end, I still didn't really understand what the whole thing was about. There are grass creatures in this. We have like a madman chasing people. There's a lot of stuff going on, but none of it is really explained by the end of the movie. You kind of get an idea of what it is, but I'm sure in the book itself they kind of looked into it a lot more. And I do wish they did the same here. Like with the novella, it is more of a short story, so I was surprised that they weren't able to delve into that a little bit more and kind of expand the mythology of the tall grass and explain it in more detail, especially since they had 90 minutes to do it. The idea of time and space not working is also, as I said, a positive with the movie, but I do kind of see it at times as a negative, as it doesn't make too much sense. With time travel and anything that kind of messes with time, you always get plot holes, and you definitely get that with this movie. If you kind of try to connect the dots with everything, I don't think it actually works. Again, the novella might explain that a little bit more and might go into more detail, and you might understand what is happening. But for me, that's probably the only negative I have with this movie, just the plot and the story was a little bit confusing. They didn't explain it in as much detail as I hoped for. But overall guys, this is definitely a really good movie. For me, it is my Netflix pick for the week. If you have Netflix, it is on there. I highly recommend you check it out. Turn off the lights, get some popcorn and enjoy the movie. It's suspenseful, it's interesting, and some great characters and twists and turns. As always guys, if you like the review, make sure you give the video a big thumbs up. Follow me on social media, and if you have your own Netflix pick, leave it down in the comments below. Remember guys, you can subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this, and I will see you in the next one.